And I really love this hot take. Dare I say my favorite hot take so far ever. What is up, guys? This is David from Bronx Banter, and back at it again with Hot Takes Episode 2, numero 2. Super excited for this one. You guys definitely were participating, dropping your hot takes down in the comments. It was very exciting and interesting to read a lot of your guys' hot takes and what you all had to say. And jumping right into it, leading off Episode 2 is Sean Fitzgerald 818. Shout out to you, man. Hashtag hot cakes. So funny. So we're supposed to do hashtag hot take. And if you want to be featured in episode 3, drop down your hot take in the comments below with hashtag hot take, not hot cake. That was really fun, Sean. If you're watching this, shout out to you, man. That was so funny. That actually made me laugh. I know it was a mistake, or if it wasn't, then you're a comedian. I love it. But hashtag hot cakes season hinges on Rodon and Cortez. If they step up, they have an excellent rotation. And obviously he was referring to the Yankees having an excellent rotation. And I really love this hot take. Dare I say my favorite hot take so far ever versus video 1 and video 2. I really love this hot take because this really is a hot take. With everything going on and wrong with the Yankees, to narrow down and say that if Cortez and Rodon could come back, that is going to be absolutely huge and is a pretty big hot take to mention. Personally, I agree and disagree. I feel like I say that with every hot take, but I see the value in it. And I honestly totally agree in the sense that we need these guys to show up. We're giving 162 mil to Rodon. He's got to show up. He's got to come back. And I have faith he will. And same thing with Cortez. I'm a little hesitant on with innings pitched, what he's going to be able to do. But I do think he's going to perform well, whether he's a third, fourth, or even a fifth starter in the rotation. I more see him as a third or fourth. It depends on where King fits into that slot and if they are going to move forward with him as a starting rotation piece. But I'm imagining a starting rotation of Cole, Rodon, Yamamoto, if we get him, King, Nestor, and then Nestor's firing either on all cylinders or most cylinders. If he just is similar to his Cy Young contending season, we got a full starting 5 that are Cy Young contenders, probably going to be battling it out, all 5 of them in the starting rotation, because I think King is going to show up as well. I don't want to, knock on wood, I don't want to say this already. It would be crazy to say, but especially if we could get Yamamoto and these guys show up, I'm going to say the phrase that was almost a curse to us the last 2 seasons. We would have the best starting rotation if all these guys do show up next season. So that would be absolutely huge. So in that sense, I totally agree with you. And we saw the negative effects of these guys not showing up last year, whether through injury or when they were on the field, they didn't perform too crazy. Nestor, he wasn't on the field much, but when he was okay. He was a respectable 4th or 5th starter in terms of what he gave us. But honestly, the part that I disagree with is I feel like our team has much bigger issues than just the starting rotation, and really it falls on the offense. And when kind of looking into your hot take and really analyzing it, I was able to come up with this conclusion. Strong starting pitching is what's going to get us to the postseason, and strong offensive production from our lineup is what's going to get us to the World Series. If we could have both, maybe this is me just being a straight up Yankee fan and I'm overestimating what the Yankees can produce next season. But obviously, if we go out and get the pieces we need, if our pitching has the potential to carry us to the postseason, and our offense is the question mark that I feel like is what's going to determine whether we do make it anywhere further beyond just the ALDS, ALCS, or beyond a wild card. So though I agree with you, I also don't agree with you. I don't think that's all that hinges on next season. I do agree we're going to have an excellent rotation if these guys do show up. And it depends on what you believe, what you mean by the season hinges on both of them. Because if you mean that the expectation is to win a World Series, then I don't think it only hinges on them. It hinges on other guys. But if you think it hinges on just being in the dance and figuring out after that, then I totally agree with you. I do, though, see how from the pieces that we do have, they have the highest ceiling to really bounce back and show up. So thank you so much, Sean, for that hot take. Really, really loved it. And honestly, hasn't been talked about enough. So thank you, man. Really love that topic. Moving on to the second hot take of the episode in episode 2 is Astron Aura. And she says, we need a player like Mauricio Dubon, the little Honduran flag, hashtag hot take. I agree. Like that take a lot. If you don't know who Mauricio Dubon is, he's a I think he actually won a Util Gold Glove in the American League, the same award that DJ won. I think it was last year. So he's a great defensive player. He obviously is util. He could play, I believe, all over the infield minus first and obviously like catcher. He plays all over the outfield as well. He reminds me of Oswaldo Cabrera, and this is where I was going to go with this. I know you mentioned we need a player like Mauricio Dumont, and I agree. But I also believe we do have him in the sense that I believe Oswaldo Cabrera is that he can be that type of player. I honestly think that Oswaldo Cabrera could be slightly better. I believe Mauricio Dubon was, and correct me if I'm wrong, was sporting a little under or a little over 700 OPS. So he's not going to wow you with the bat, but he is going to show up sometimes. He's going to get some solid hits. He's been clutch during the postseason in 2023 for the Astros and really filled in a role for Jose Altuve and supported the team and kind of helped keep them afloat. I see absolutely the value in having a guy like Mauricio Dubon. I do believe we have that already in Oswaldo Cabrera. I do believe we have that already in IKF. And I agree in the sense that this won't move the needle for us in terms of being a World Series contending team. But I 100% agree in that it's very undervalued how important it is for the Yankees to have these type of util players that we could rely on because of how our roster is and how we have so many injury prone guys. We need players like that could just fill in during injuries and not just fill in, but produce while they're filling in. They may not produce like Mauricio Dubon, I don't believe, was producing like Jose Altuve normally would when he filled in for him, but he filled in enough to keep the Astros in the running to then win the division. I 100% agree. We need a guy like Mauricio Dubon, and in the sense that we need Oswaldo Cabrera to show up next season, and he doesn't need to be an all-star, but he needs to be someone that helps produce when needed. We, similarly to like the production we got from IKF last year, for me, I've actually always been a fan of IKF. I just never was a fan of him playing short. And I never was a fan of him being a everyday, this is your position player. His value is found in the utility role. His value is found in being a pinch hitter. And if you need a guy to just get a bat on the ball or drop a bunt down, he's your guy. So in that sense, we do have him now. I know IKF is a free agent now. I want Oswaldo Cabrera to step up next season, but I totally agree in the sense that a part of building this roster is it's not just getting guys like Yamamoto, not just getting guys like Juan Soto and all these crazy big names, but it's also rounding off the roster with players like this. So thank you so much for your hot take. Love that one. And now the third one, last one of the episode, third one, probably one of my favorite. It's not a hot take. Sean's got my favorite hot take, but my favorite question, but he said hot take. Shout out to you. Booyah, get Yanks. Like that name a lot. It's very interesting. Also see you a lot in the comments, so thank you for that. You dropped a question that I really, really wanted to answer, so I added it into the video. If you were the manager of the Yankees, what things would I do differently? Hashtag hot take. Thank you so much, man. What I would do differently, first of all, I won't react the same way that Brian Cashman reacted in that interview presser. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. If you haven't seen that, I've dropped a video on that. That was just anyways. If you've seen that episode, you saw me in a very, very frustrated position. But what I would do beyond just getting all these fancy players and great players, and I don't want to undermine them, is I would 100% reevaluate. Of course, the analytics is cool and all. I would reevaluate the hitting philosophy from top to bottom. There's no coincidence that year after year after year, we got players outside of Judge and maybe outside of Glaber, even though he's had some regressed years, that we have guys like Stanton, Rizzo, DJ, even Donaldson to come on the team. And I know they're declining because they're aging, but for them to come on the team and struggle as much as they had, DJ, MVP caliber player, so, and he is, but such as what Brian Cashman was bragging about. Giancarlo Stanton that's won an MVP and is now hitting 220 and even struggling to get home runs or a single base hit or struggling to run down the baseline. Beyond all this, they shouldn't be struggling as much as they have offensively. Our hitting philosophy is a huge issue, I believe, and let me prove it to you. Last year, we were the second worst in hits as a team and batting average as a team, only just above Oakland. And we were only batting average wise, we were only 0.003 better, points better than Oakland. So that's not much at all. That's literally one bad at bat from Stanton. And we're probably tied, if not worse. Last year, we were also bottom 4 in MLB in on-base percentage, which is a value that the Yankees speak so highly of, but we're still bottom 4. And teams like the Kansas City Royals, Washington Nationals, the Pirates all scored more runs than us last year. And I need you to really grasp that. We were supposed to be World Series favorites, postseason favorites, and this is what we brought out onto the field offensively. And we're not seeing any issue with this. We think that this is all just the players' fault. Now, part of it is their responsibility, but I feel like we're also missing the fact that it's a large part of the hitting philosophy as well. There's no way that every hitter on that lineup should have the same exact hitting approach. Volpe, not sure how tall you are, Volpe, or how much you weigh, but he shouldn't have the same hitting philosophy as Aaron Judge, that's 6'7", 280 or 270. Shouldn't have the same hitting philosophy as Giancarlo Stanton. Like, we shouldn't only be focused on hitting the ball hard to the pull side, launch angle, exit velocity. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter about strikeouts. That's not what should happen. Absolutely not. We've had way too many shutouts last season. So that's showing me that the hitting philosophy needs to change and needs to be adjusted. Now, I'm glad the Yankees are taking the steps to get a new hitting coach. Don't know how much that's going to help or do or how quickly that's going to help the team. But if I were the manager, the first thing for me is that beyond just getting guys like Juan Soto or Yamamoto or Bellinger or anything like that, as a GM, I want to make sure that that gets changed. Hot Takes episode 2. Thank you guys for all your hot takes on episode 2. If you want to be featured on episode 3, 4, 5, or at any of them in the future, even some of you guys have already dropped a hot take. If you want to double dip again, feel more than free. Just drop your hottest take. That's what's the only ones that are going to be featured. The hottest takes are going to be featured. Drop your hot takes down in the comments below with hashtag hot take, not hot cakes. Shout out to you, Sean, but hot take. Hey, what is up, guys? If you liked this episode, please make sure to like it, comment down below, and subscribe, and watch what YouTube suggests would be a great video for you. You're not going to want to miss all the latest Yankees news and topics going on. Listen, Judge wants you to subscribe. The Martian wants you to subscribe, so make sure you do. And until next time, peace and be blessed.